With the anticipated release of the new ranked hard mode coming to Nightreign, the Deep of Night, you've probably been wondering how much harder this mode is going to be. Well, that's what I will be covering in this information-packed video. First and foremost, it's important to know that the scaling of each depth for each enemy type is linear, meaning depth 3 is the average of depth 1 and 5. However, when facing a red mutated enemy, the depth adjustments stack multiplicatively with mutation adjustments. You may have already heard about or maybe even seen these red mutated enemies in the Deep of Night, but now let's take a closer look as to how they are scaled to be made more challenging to face. Beginning with trash mobs, so this may include really anything that isn't some sort of boss or part of the central castle. If these are mutated, then they will get 2 times their current HP and damage. Now, on top of this increase, depending on the depth you are on, this value is increased even more. Let's say we are on depth 1. HP and damage of trash mobs, this includes ones that aren't mutated, is increased by 1.35 times. Then, when facing the same enemy mutated, you multiply the mutation adjustment with the depth adjustment to get a value of 2.7. This is how much stronger a mutated trash mob will be in depth 1 when compared to the normal expeditions. And in depth 5, this value goes up to 3.6 times more HP and 4.2 times more damage. Hopefully that explanation made sense, so we can now fly through the rest. Minor POI bosses, this include great churches, forts, camps, ruins, and everjails that don't include the oldest everjail. Get 2.6 times HP if mutated at depth 1 and 1.9 times damage increase. This value scales up to 3.6 times HP at depth 5 and 4.4 times damage. If the enemy is any of these, or these enemies at everjails, then this value applies to them. But for everything else mutated at these POIs that isn't one of the enemies listed before, they get a 2.28 times damage increase at depth 1, scaling to 5.2 times damage increase at depth 5 instead. Moving to the castle elite mobs, including Crucible Knights, Trolls, and the Lion, they get 2.6 times HP increase and 1.95 times damage increase at depth 1. Banished Knights, on the other hand, get the same HP increase at depth 1, but get 2.3 times damage increase at depth 1 instead of 1.95. And at depth 5, they all get 3.6 times HP and 5.2 times damage increase. Next we have the regular field bosses, which also includes all basement bosses except for Bell-Bearing Hunter. They have an HP increase of 2.6 times and damage increase of 1.95 times at depth 1. Scaling to 3.6 times HP and 4.4 times damage at depth 5. Formidable bosses, including the Bell-Bearing Hunter in Castle Basement, Shifting Nurse, and the oldest everjail, referring to spawns of the Ancient Dragon, Godskin Duo, and Deathrite Bird, all get 1.38 times increase to HP and damage if mutated at depth 1. This value scales up to 1.84 times HP and 2.53 times damage at depth 5. Now, moving on to the Night Bosses and the Nightlord itself, these can't be mutated, meaning they all get a linear depth scaling applied to them. For Night 1 boss at depth 1, we get an increase of plus 35% to its HP and damage, with HP scaling to plus 130% and damage scaling to plus 270% at depth 5. The Night 2 boss at depth 1, we get an increase of plus 30% to its HP and damage, with HP scaling to 120 and damage scaling to 260% at depth 5. And finally, the Nightlord. At depth 1, we get an increase of plus 25% to its HP and damage, with HP scaling to 115% and damage scaling to plus 230% at depth 5. However, HP and damage isn't the only thing being scaled up in the Deep of Night. Every single enemy, all the way from Trash Mob up to the Nightlord itself, doesn't matter if they are mutated or not, gets a chance in stamina damage versus shields increase of 15% at depth 1, scaling to 50% at depth 5. Stamina damage versus shields refers to how much stamina will be consumed to block a hit, also indicating that staggering these bosses will not be easy. The last bit of information you may be wondering is, what is the point of fighting a red mutated enemy? Well, not only do they drop a red rarity weapon with 2 passive buffs and 1 curse, We also get increased ruins from them. We get 2 times the ruins from mutated trash mobs, 1.6 or 2 times more ruins from mutated minor POIs and castle elite mobs depending on the type, 1.6 times more ruins from regular field bosses if mutated, and finally 1.35 times increased ruin from oldest ever jail and formidable field bosses. If you find this video helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on what's to come in Nightreign.